Hi, this is Karen Shackelford, and I'm recording an edition of What's Up in the Lab? What's Up in the Entertainment Psychology Lab? It is mid-May. It is May 22nd, and I'm going to do a brief recap of the lab meeting this week. So, in the lab, we are reading the Journal Article Reporting Standards from APA, also known as JARS. Here's my little JARS squeezy coffee cup that I got at the APA meeting one year. I'm going to squeeze that during this presentation. And so it was Stephen's week this week, and he was reporting on methods. And there's a PowerPoint for that down here in the Moodle. You can find that. And there's also the lab recording for this week, which will also be shared. Now, one thing in methods, of course, is reporting the surveys that you used if you're doing a survey design. How to report that, what things you need, such as you need the reliabilities, you need the name of the survey, you need to cite the survey, you need to include an item from the survey at least, and what it measures. So in an activity this week, we got into small groups by going into Zoom rooms, and the task was to think about how it is that you find items on a survey. So, for example, something we've used in the lab in the past is Jonathan Cohen's 2001 survey for identification. It's identification with characters in television and film. And the question is, okay, you've read a lot about it, you've read the background literature. Where do you actually find the items on the survey so that you can put those items in your research, either here in the lab, in your dissertation, or somewhere else? It's not as simple as it sounds. Sometimes it's pretty easy. Sometimes, most of the time, it's medium difficulty, and then sometimes it seems impossible. So what are the steps? I had actually gone through those steps a few weeks back in the lab, and I thought I would turn the tables here and ask people to come up with all those steps. There's not just one set of steps, but there is sort of a standard list that people use, standard set of procedures for locating the items and the response scale that they're on so that you can use them. So Kat, Kaylin, and Julie, I know that you can't make the lab meeting team meeting right now. So I'm recording this for you as well. You guys can get into a group of two or three or do this each on your own. This week, like I say, the teams were just writing down the steps that they would take to find the items on a survey. Next week, we're going to play a game called Find the Items. It's kind of like a variation on Supermarket Sweep, but except for nerdy researchers. So Find the Items will be the lab leaders will give you the name of a survey and the maybe the publication that it came from. And then you have to go through the steps to try to find the items. And we'll try to make these reasonably paired as much as we can so that one's not impossible and one's not super easy. But it's going through those steps. Most researchers at some point or another, I don't think you could ever avoid having to figure out where the items are. So we are doing that next week in the lab. I believe it is Jesse who will be talking about JARS and the section of JARS called results section. So again, these are brief presentations followed by questions. Maybe there'll be a related activity, depends on what's happening in the lab. And I think those are the highlights. Bye.